Good evening. My name is Ashwin Berry and welcome back to Sunset News. Remember, we're on air every evening from 7:30 until 8. In this half hour, we bring you local news, international news, community stories, the weather for tomorrow, economic news and indicators, as well as sports news. Let's get straight into the news stories for the day. A 50-year-old man has appeared in the Rundu Magistrates Court charged with cultivating cannabis plants at Nkurenkuru in the Kavango West region. Johannes Kengelezi Ihemba was arrested last Friday after the police had received a tip-off. According to the police, the land where the illegal plants were grown is situated within the township of Nkurenkuru. The 26 plants were valued at 21,800 Namibian dollars. Ihemba was granted bail of 2,000 Namibian dollars and the matter was postponed to 21 February for further investigation. Now, unlike the decreases reported in poaching of high-value species in 2020, poaching for meat increased in some parts of Namibia. Over 200 carcasses of large animals, 84 of which were gemsbok, were confiscated during 2020. However, poaching figures for rhinos, elephants and pangolins declined across Namibia in 2020, and it was the first year that a decline in pangolin seizures was reported since this problem was first detected in 2015. Now, even before President Hage Geingob attended the International Climate Summit in Glasgow, Scotland in November 2021, the hype on the possibility that Namibia could be the venue for green energy, i.e. hydrogen production, caused excitement and euphoria amongst politicians. Now, on Tuesday night, 8 February 2022, the Scientific Society in Windhoek convened a presentation of 3 panelists to sound out the possibilities and challenges for Namibia to engage in such a mammoth project. The physicist Dr. Detlof von Ortsen opened a critical assessment of the topic, followed by lawyer Jackie Schultz, who outlined the legal frame and boundaries within which such energy production could evolve, while the third panelist, financial expert Robert McGregor, delivered a portrait of Namibia's finances and requirements related to the foundation of the multi-billion-dollar project. Now, the trial of land activist Dimbulukeni Nauyoma, in which he is challenging the constitutionality of the Squatters' Proclamation of 1985, was postponed in the Windhoek High Court today until next week for the allocation of trial dates. Nauyoma has dragged the government and Attorney General to court to get the proclamation repealed. According to the activist, the act was merely enacted with the sole purpose of denying Namibians access to land and/or housing. SWAPO Secretary General Sophia Shaningwa this morning addressed office bearers and officials of the party, its wings and regional structures about plans for 2022. Her talk was passionately about the new national headquarters, which is due for imminent completion in the capital. Agueto Craig reports.
The dreams of the founding fathers and the dream of Moses Garwe of 1992, when they dreamt about the construction of the headquarters of SWAPO Party, is coming to pass. The legacy of Moses Garwe, our Secretary General in an independent country, must be cherished.
Now, whether it's used tests, vaccine bottles, or protective clothing, once used, medical waste ends up in the garbage can. If at all, as WHO reports shows, the health risk from infectious waste is enormous, as the Reuters news agency recently reported, citing a report by the World Health Organization. It is not only the coronavirus itself that exposes humanity to high health risks. It is also the waste that hospitals generate as a result of treating corona patients. patients. According to the report, tens of thousands of tons of discarded syringes, already used tests and old vaccine bottles accumulate as medical waste, threatening human health as much as the environment. The material exposes health workers to burns, needle stick injuries and pathogens, it said. Read all about these stories, the stories behind the stories, and so much more in tomorrow's papers. Stick around. Next up, Community Talk.
Hi there, I'm Elliot Nick Scraver. I love sharing my knowledge with others and mentoring newcomers. Every day, I work closely with the rest of my team to solve anything from basic to advanced routing and switching problems. But what do I really do? Well, my job mainly includes designing customer VPN connections, internet connectivity solutions with our fiber, LTE, and Redwood products. But being a jack of all trades, I also help configure routers, switches, provide telephonic and remote support to our local and international SLA customers. Our team is all about solving problems, like if you have a remote office and you need a solution to securely transfer files over the internet, you got it with our powerful software-defined wide area network solution. We are invested in understanding our customer needs and finding the perfect network design to meet your requirements. And that's something we do best at Paratus. We keep problem solving simple. We do it right the first time around, and we're never scared of a good challenge. Need a solution to your network problems? You got it.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, to start off our community talk, Yolanda now looks at uranium exploration, where land in the Stampriet, Leonardville and Aranos areas has been cleared principally. Stampriet farmers were stunned that the project's environmental impact assessment had been approved since there had been no public consultations.
I am Yolanda Nel, bringing you news from Stampriet. In Namibia, conservationists and environmental activists are repeatedly surprised by government decisions, especially when those issues seem to be getting the silent treatment. But it is this silence that drives renowned Namibian geologist and former head of the surveying department of the Ministry of Mines, Dr. Roy Miller. At the moment, he is seriously concerned about the size of the tract of land in the Stampriet, Leonardville and Aranos areas that has been cleared principally for uranium exploration, which is nearly 3.5 million hectares in size. Miller says that the agriculture in the vicinity of the Stampriet Artisan Basin, also known as the SAB, obtains its water primarily from artisanal water, and that a significant part of the economy depends on that water. He added that the vast water resource consists of various sandstone layers, each home to its own aquifers that are interconnected. He said that exploration drilling has confirmed the deposit of uranium in the area and that the use of in situ leaching is the only way to mine this uranium deposit in a water-rich area. Speaking to our sister publication, the Allgemeine Zeitung, Miller indicated that it is essential that this mining be stopped. He said that geologists at Head Springs Investment, like him, are convinced there are more ore bodies in this area, and that is why mining companies are not willing to leave. Speaking about Stampriet last year, the Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Kala Schletwijn, expressed grave concern over the area's water resources. In fact, Schletwijn already expressed his concern about the possible extent of this development when the latest Namibian hydrographic maps were presented last October and scheduled an investigation as a result. The preliminary findings led to the withdrawal of drilling permits by the Water Ministry. However, the Ministry of Mines has remained mum on the issue.
An issue certainly worth keeping your eye on. Now, Namibia Media Holdings held their annual media camp over the weekend, with learners from across the country being taught the ropes of what happens behind newspaper and video production. Micheline Navatesis reports.
MyZone, the youth brand of Namibia Media Holdings, hosted its annual media camp at the Horticos Training Center. Horicus is located 13 kilometers just outside of Okanya on your way towards Windhoek. Over 50 schools were seen in our midst and received expertise from experts in the industry. The learners were tasked to pair up in groups and to make their own fire and fry their own wings, as well as some meat. The teams worked together and it was a successful night after a session of journalists speaking to them. Johanan Kutsia, who is the face of What's Cooking, joined the learners over the weekend where they had a fun fry off.
We come out here, we travel to different camping locations around the country.
After a lengthy informative session, Johanan stepped in to stretch with the learners. The learners were encouraged to wiggle their toes and to stretch their arms before they head back right into another powerful informative session.
En van de girls, Delia, denk dat Delia gaat doen. Kom eens kijken. Let's see. Nice. We count them down, let's count them down.
Experts from Namibia Media Holdings graced us with their presence, where they were rotating per group and had a session for 10 minutes. They showed the learners the devices that were used back in the days and how their newspapers are being designed.
We certainly look forward to seeing the young ones take over the media landscape in Namibia. Now, Rachel Shiveda talks to Yolanda Nell about inclusivity and people living with disabilities in Namibia. Have a look.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am joined with Rachel, and she's from the GIZ, and today we are talking inclusivity.
Yes.
Rachel, does disability affect Namibians?
Oh yes, it definitely does. I mean, just like every person all over the world, is affected by disability. So the way we know that disability affects Namibians specifically is because of the data, which is gathered. And in 2016, there was this disability report by the NSA with data from the National Population and Household Census. And in that report, it stated that around 100,000 people do have certain types of disabilities in Namibia. Wow. And from those 100,000, around 52,000 are women with disabilities.
Sure.
And 48,000 are men with disabilities. And from the entire population, around 5% of people do have a disability within the country. But then, of course, we also know that disability does have or does negatively impacts the lives of persons with disabilities. Just to mention just a few statistics again from that report, it stated that over 5,000 children with disabilities between the ages of 0 and 4 years old do not even attend early childhood development programs. Yeah. And around, what was the other one? Yeah, 82% of persons with disabilities who live in the rural areas, mainly in the northern part of Namibia. They have not received any formal types of education.
All of us or none of us, inclusivity is key. Now, the First Rand Namibia Foundation, Papkewitz Foundation, and Ohorongo Cement have facilitated the building of 420 houses since 2016. We'll be talking about that and more in our economic news after the break. Now, in your economic news, more than 420 houses have been built countrywide since the First Rand Namibia Foundation, Papkewitz Foundation, and Ohorongo Cement partnered to support the Shack Dwellers Federation of Namibia in 2016. Houses have been built in Otavi, Ongwediva, Enana, Aranos, Katima Mulilo, Oshinene, Mautahohe, and Tsandi, to name but a few towns. The housing challenge in Namibia will not be rectified in the near future. It's a step in the right direction, said the National Home Loans Sales Manager of FNB Namibia, Rosina Jacobs, at the annual sponsorship handover to the SDFN. Now, Bank Windhoek is in the process of deploying cash-accepting ATMs countrywide and recently installed 3 new machines at its branches in Walvis Bay, Swakopmund, and agency in Henties Bay. The uptake in the use of the cash-accepting ATM in Kwisebmund is encouraging, said Bank Windhoek's National Operations Manager, David Now. Walvis Bay now has 2 cash-accepting ATMs. Bank Windhoek installed the first one in 2021 at the bank's Kwisebmund agency and the second installed at the Walvis Bay branch. Now let's have a look at the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar is up against most major currencies. On the NSX, the MTC stock value is down, with the rest staying at current levels. The Trustco stock as well as the local index is down, and the overall index is up 1.74%. All commodities are up except for oil, that is down with 2.1%. Those were our economic news stories. Stick around, your weather story coming up soon.
Swiping or tapping your FNB Visa card is the safest, easiest, most rewarding way to transact. Because if you swipe your FNB Visa debit or credit card 3 times a month, you'll automatically be entered into the draw to win your share of a mammoth 250,000 Namibian dollars. Competition ends 15 February 2022. T's, C's and rules apply. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's get into the weather. During the period from last February to April, most parts of Namibia are likely to receive, during the period of February to April to come, most parts of Namibia are likely to receive normal to above normal rainfall, with the exception of the Karas region, where normal to below normal rainfall is expected. This is according to a new review of the remainder of the rainfall season. The Namibia Meteorological Service says that in the last week of January, experts from the SADC Regional Meteorological Services, under the guidance of the SADC Climate Service Center, conducted a review of the regional forecast issued in September 2021 and the subsequently downscaled forecasts for each member state. Let's have a look at what you can expect with regards to the weather. Most of the northern parts of the country's highs are in the high 20s and lower 30s, with Omaruru being the hottest at 35 degrees. In the southern parts of Namibia, it will be a little cooler in the mornings, with Ariamsvlei still the hottest in the country at 37 degrees. We've given you your dose of local news. Coming up next, international news. Let's get into the international news. The African Union has suspended a debate on whether to withdraw Israel's accreditation as an observer to the bloc, avoiding a vote that risked creating an unprecedented rift in the 55-member body. Speaking to reporters at the end of the two-day summit on Sunday, the AU's newly elected chairman, Macky Sall, said there was an agreement to postpone the vote until the next summit in 2023. This issue can divide us. Africa cannot be divided, he told reporters, saying such a development would result in a fragile institution that may not effectively tackle major issues. The dispute was set in motion in July last year when Moussa Faki Mahamat, chair of the AU Commission, accepted unilaterally Israel's accreditation to the bloc, triggering protests by a number of member states. According to diplomats at the summit, the new committee will include South Africa and Algeria, who opposed Faki's move to accredit Israel, as well as Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, who supported it. Cameroon also asked to be on the committee, while South Africa requested the inclusion of Nigeria as well, the diplomats said. All right, stick around just now. We'll get active as we check out your sport. Let's get into the sport. A delegation comprising of officials from Namibia and Botswana attended the just-ended Africa Cup of Nations to canvass support for their plans to co-host the 2027 Continental Football Showpiece. The Namibian delegation was led by Namibia Sports Commission CEO Freddie Muya, Deputy Sports Minister Emma Kantema Khaumas, who was also seen in Cameroon, reportedly on invitation by CAF President Patrice Motsepe. Afrocat Lions Netball Club's Dimitri Bitler is confident that his players will possibly be able to regain full fitness in 3 weeks ahead of the 2022 netball season. The Lions have 3 teams that compete in the Super 10s and as well as the Premier League. Bitler's only major concern at this time is to have the players fit for the season. The fact that the club has acquired many new faces is said to be one of the reasons why they will need a proper briefing about the netball club's philosophy and tactical intel. Now, the Namibia Football Association this morning announced that 11 referees have gained full accreditation to handle international matches. The new FIFA referees are Willem Haitembu, Naftau Negongo, Samuel Mayele, Vistoria Shangula, Twanyanyukwa Ansino. The assistant referees are Evelyn Lungameni, Kanyanga Mateus, Alex Mozibane, Cornelius Ndapewa, Nevonga Mateus, and Festus Shaningwa. Congratulations to the refs. Stick around, especially if you missed us from 7:30, because your highlights are up next. On Sunset News, no one gets left behind, so let's get into your highlights. Even before President Hage Geingob attended the International Climate Summit in Glasgow, Scotland in November 2021, the hype on the possibility that Namibia could be the venue for green energy, i.e. hydrogen production, caused excitement and euphoria amongst politicians. The physicist Dr. Detlof von Oortzen opened a critical assessment of the topic, followed by the lawyer Jackie Schultz, who outlined the legal frame and boundaries within which such energy production could evolve, while the third panelist, financial expert Robert McGregor, delivered a portrait of Namibia's finances and requirements related to the foundation of the multi-billion project. Whether used tests, vaccine bottles, or protective clothing, once used medical waste ends up in the garbage can, if at all, as a WHO report shows. According to the report, tens of thousands of tons of discarded syringes, already used tests, and old vaccine bottles accumulate as medical waste, threatening human health as much as the environment. The material exposes health workers to burns, needle stick injuries, and pathogens, it said. Unlike the decreases reported in poaching of high-value species in 2020, poaching for meat increased in some parts of Namibia. Over 200 carcasses of large mammals, 84 of which were gemsbok, were confiscated during 2020. However, poaching figures for rhinos, elephants, and pangolins declined across Namibia in 2020, and it was the first year that a decline in pangolin seizures was reported since this problem was first detected in 2015. Make sure you join Sunset News on NTV, oneup2.com, and Facebook on all the NMH platforms on weekdays at 7:30 for the freshest news and stories from Namibia and the world. Do join us tomorrow. My name is Ashwin Berry. This has been Sunset News. Please don't end your day without us.